Still a lot of recruiting to discuss from the weekend and the weekend coming up.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me. Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. That's him. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. We'll talk about FanDuel in just a little bit. Want to thank you every day for being here every day. Thank you newbies for being here today. And thanks everybody for making this your first listen every single day. You guys are the best. Jimmy, we're still talking recruiting from last weekend because one of the things I want to talk about is a defensive lineman, because that's the one guy. When we talk recruiting, people are always like, yeah, if we talk receivers or quarterbacks, running backs, offensive linemen, whatever, people are always like, yeah, but what about the DL? So how about Alabama is now leading for Nolan Wilson out of Mississippi, who is the third-ranked defensive tackle in the country?
Yeah, he's big time. Some positional question about him. I mean, in terms of, I think Alabama's telling him bandit. I think he wants to play bandit for Freddie Roach. That's currently the spot held by LT Overton. I think Nolan Wilson's going to end up being a really big kid myself. I wouldn't. So in other words, might be recruiting him to play LT Overton's spot. I see him as more of a James Smith build eventually. I mean, that's how big I think this guy can be, and I think that's ultimately might be his position. But regardless of whether he's a bandit or whether he's a true D tackle, this is a national top 100 player, heck of an athlete, loves Alabama, and is a home run for all those fans out there that's like, you got to recruit defensive line better. I hear this all the time, and I'm not saying it's not true. Of course it's true. I just think the issue is overstated. As an example, just this week, Pro Football Focus, PFF, says Alabama's got the number 2 defensive line in the country. You can't have a defensive line ranked that high unless there's been some good recruiting going on. And when people say, yeah, well, I mean, DeBoer just got here. That's Saban's guys. Well, I mean, LT Overton, James Smith, and Tim Keenan did all commit to Saban. That's true. But they also all committed to the defensive line coach, Freddie Roach, all of them. So I'm feeling pretty good about where we're at with the defensive line.
I do too. And then when you throw in Titan Davis, who had a wonderful trip to Alabama, who again raved about the family atmosphere. And I think that's important too when you're recruiting defensive linemen, that you can show them that Pro Football Focus is saying, hey, you know, this isn't a group loaded with stars necessarily, but it is a solid,
very solid
group. I mean,
also an older group. They're going to be cycling out. Keenan's a senior. Overton's a senior. James Smith is an NFL draft eligible junior. So this starting group's really good, but it's cycling out. And that's what you got to convince these kids is, hey, your opportunity to play is going to be there.
Yeah. So it's really a double good thing for them. I mean, opportunity to play and you're being developed. And again, for those who have killed Freddie Roach for some time, I think you need to ease up on.
I've never understood
Freddie Roach here a little bit.
I've never.
No, he's not your favorite coach. I'm not saying he's the best defensive line coach we've ever had. I mean, I'm not saying he's Bo Davis. I'm just saying he's better than people think.
Why would people think Nick Saban himself would tolerate a coach that's not good at his job? And Nick Saban's like, I don't care. Do people know Nick Saban? Do people get to know Nick Saban?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like, Saban didn't do anything willy-nilly. And here's the other thing.
Especially that.
I want to talk about a receiver we offered for the 26th class here in a second that is quite interesting. But I do want to say, one of our national guys, Spencer McLaughlin, who I love, and we've both been on his show, Locked On College Football, and he does a marvelous job. He's out there on the West Coast and a good dude, and I would call him a friend. But I listened to his podcast the other day, and he said something about what Kalen DeBoer said. I'm trying to remember what Kalen DeBoer said, but it was something that was just rather innocuous to me. It just didn't register. It didn't hit the meter. And he said Nick Saban would never say that. And I was like, yeah, but see, you can't judge anybody by Nick Saban. He's the outlier. You can't. Right. I mean, it's like saying, hey, Michael Jordan wouldn't have done that. Well, no, Michael Jordan's the best there to ever do it. So don't compare yourself to them. Yes, we all love to say my kid's the best, or, you set the bar high. but then they're setting the bar unreasonably high. I'm not expecting Kalen DeBoer come in here to do what Nick Saban did.
No,
nobody. If you are, you're crazy. And I mean, we get that.
Well, if you are, you're going to be disappointed. You're going
to be disappointed.
Spoiler alert. I hate to ruin the end of the movie for everybody, but it's not going to be 6 national championships in 17 seasons. It's just not going to be.
It's so ridiculous to even think about it. And so we need to let Kalen DeBoer do his own thing, which he's done quite awesomely. And we're going to talk about something in the second segment that grinds my gears from our own family of Locked On people. I can't wait to tell you. Because you're not going to believe what I'm going to show you. Because I know you don't.
I saw it. It's an outrage.
All right, let me say this about recruiting then. One other thing I wanted to bring up is Alabama has offered Owen Cabell. I guess you're saying or Cabell or Cabell. Cabell. Cabell?
I don't think it's Cabell. I think it's probably Cabell.
Cabell? I don't know.
I would go with Cabell. But he's a new name for me. We were just talking about on the last show, new names, the valuation period offers. This could be a camp. I mean, could have been, I don't know that it'd be a camp offer. We did have a camp yesterday. We had a camp yesterday. We had kids in. That kid from Saraland was there, Keone Snipes, and I'm crazy about it. I saw some tape of him working out that was actually on the 24/7. Somehow got hold of that tape of his working out at Alabama. Boy, Saraland's built another one.
But this Owen Cabell, I guess that's what we'll go with, Cabell. I mean, I don't know. Maybe somebody just misspelled cable. I don't know. But we could also call him Lad McHonky. I mean, that's another thing or Lad McHonky 2, Electric Boogaloo, or Slade Bolden 2.
He does run fast. I think he's got a 10.7 100 meters, which is moving it pretty good.
But
moving it pretty good.
Look, it's a little eye-opening. I mean,
I think it's because you've set the bar at, hey, let's sign C.D. Morgan and Booby Feaster.
That's what I'm saying. Look, I'm not saying this kid's not good. He is only a 3-star on services, and one service he's not ranked. I should note that. And I'm not saying he might turn out to be awesome.
Also has Tennessee and Georgia offers.
It was just something that just caught my attention. Yep. Now, having said that, you're right. Georgia has certainly had some wide receivers that have been
like him.
What am I looking? Unassumingly good.
I mean, Lad McConkey was obviously not a big-time high school recruit, and look at him tearing up the NFL.
All he did was tear up everybody he ever got near. So, I mean, I'm if we get a Lad McConkey, I'm all in.
He's way better than that dude at Clemson people compared him to. Hunter Renfrow? Yeah, McConkey's better.
Well, Hunter Renfrow, I mean, look, Hunter Renfrow was pretty good, but if he doesn't catch the touchdown for the national championship, he probably doesn't have as much.
He did have some successes against Alabama frequently, which tends to raise your people become really aware.
He was there, OJ Howard.
Nice guy. I met Hunter Renfrow, by the way, Senior Bowl week. I met him and talked to him for a couple minutes. Super dude. And we joke about how old he is because it seemed like he was at Clemson forever. When I was sitting there talking to him, it literally came across like, I'm not talking to some 23-year-old. This guy could be one of my fellow 40-year-old friends. Yeah. I mean, he came across like he's 40. I mean, and I mean it as a compliment. Like, he's remarkably mature. He might have been at Clemson for 25 years. It might have been true based on our
Let me tell you what Hunter Renfrow was. Hunter Renfrow would be the worst example to try and fight a stereotype of the white wide receiver because he wasn't super fast. He had pretty good hands. And like you said, he was older than he seemed. It was just like, if you want to say, hey, let's get rid of all these stereotypes, don't put Hunter Renfrow in the argument because he is the stereotype.
But I'll tell you where here's something he has in common with Devontae Smith. He got open. Hunter Renfrow got open. He still did before he got hurt when he was with the Raiders. He was doing some of it in the NFL. He just did a tremendous job of getting open. And a lot of fans just think
that pass for a national championship. They both did that. How many other people have done that?
That's a great point. Some fans will say, oh, getting open, that's a product of your 40 time and your shuttle time. No. There's an art. There's an art to getting open, whether you're a wide receiver, whether you're a tight end in the NFL, big time college football, there's an art to it. Devontae Smith is the Rembrandt of that art in my mind, especially at the college level. But Hunter's like that. Hunter could get open. As far as the offer to the Tennessee guy, I think it's this simple. They want a second receiver, and they're casting a wide net. The second receiver, and I'm saying that jinxing the heck out of something I should never jinx, which is I think a lot of us, they lead for CD Morgan. You got to feel pretty good about that, though nothing is certain, not even close to certain. But who's going to go along with CD Morgan? You'd love it to be Boobie Feaster or some Tristan Keys. You'd love it if it was that, but I'm not sure how realistic that is. So you got to cast a pretty wide net if you want to.
No, I'm with you on that. And look, again, I'm not against him. I don't want people to think I'm trying to kill the guy. I just thought there was some opportunities for some funny nicknames.
No, you had your heart set on Boobie.
Look, if you tell me I can get Boobie or Lad McConkey, I'm going Boobie all day. And I'll also take that Feaster kid from Texas. We're going to talk a little FanDuel. FanDuel is my fave. It's Jimmy's fave. It's all of our faves because you love FanDuel. We all love FanDuel. We all scream for it because it's the best. In the NBA playoffs, well, we're here to the title. And it's in full swing. It's Thursday night. Every night deserves highlight-worthy performances. And you got a funky finals. You got OKC and Indiana. The least historically fun matchup ever, but maybe the high-flying, a lot of fun, a lot of run up and down stuff. So that's going to give you a lot of opportunity to get in on the action with FanDuel. There's never been a better time. Look, what you want to do right now is go over to FanDuel. If you're new there, if you're not new, you're going over there every day anyway. But if you are new, go there now. It's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com, place a $5 bet. If it wins, you get 200 in bonus bets. Like that. I just snapped my fingers for those who aren't watching on YouTube. Make every moment more with FanDuel. It's an official sports betting partner of Jimmy. Tell him.
The NBA.
Yes, he's right, y'all.
NBA finals are actually Thursday, and there's going to be some FanDueling on the part of me, probably. Hey, I told y'all very early on when the playoffs started, Thunder. Still think it's going to be the Thunder. Thunder in 5. Thunder 5 games.
I think it is. By the way, should be noted just a couple of odd end things. Alabama signee I messed that up. Eric Hines, Alabama baseball signee. Eric Hines is Gatorade Player of the Year.
He's a fun prospect. This dude has tremendous power.
Yeah, I like him a lot. And hey, another guy for Alabama got in the transfer portal today. I think another pitcher. But we may be having wholesale changes, and you know what? I'm here for it.
Well, so, no one has. I know the baseball. I'm not a baseball roster whiz like the football, but I do know enough. No one has left that was in the specific plans for next year, and this gets kind of complicated with that house settlement. Baseball rosters are shrinking in size, but going up in scholarships, and now rev share. So it's like your roster has to be small. All these walk-ons, all these minuscule scholarship guys, they're out anyway. You don't have room for them. You can only have, I think the roster numbers be 34. Alabama's had over 40 guys on the team for years. Now you can only have like 32, 34. Bunch of them better be pitchers because you can't run. Anyway, that's what's going on there. So Luke's right. It is a wholesale roster change, but so far they haven't lost anyone so far that they were busting to keep.
I'm about to tick all of y'all off. And look, Jimmy and I were just as ticked off as you're going to be when you see it.
I wasn't ticked off just simply because I don't take the stuff that seriously. It is dumb.
Do you understand how selling works? You're trying to get people to listen and watch.
But I don't want to get people mad.
Well, no one goes.
Luke, they know you're more emotional than I am, so this isn't surprising to anyone.
That is true.
They know this. they know this too. So Luke's a little more. Luke's a little more emotional over this than I am, though I agree with Luke 100%. This ranking's horrible, and there it is.
This is the Locked On. Now, it says the Portal podcast, but I'm not really sure where they made this up. And I didn't want to ask because I'm better being ignorant of this because I don't want to unmake friends. But these are, according to a Locked On person or several people, top 12 recruiting head coaches. Number 1 is Kirby Smart. Okay.
Fine.
I'm fine with that.
Fine.
That's very fair. Okay. Now, if Nick Saban were still here, it would be Nick Saban, but he's not. So this is very fair. Number 2 is Mario Cristobal. Not necessarily
Objection.
where I'd go. I like
Top-
him.
Top 12, I can buy. I can
100%.
buy top 12. 2 is
I can buy
ridiculous.
top 5.
Two's pretty absurd to me based on it's not just about signing someone in their living room and convincing a 5-star in their living room to sign with you. It's also about this. Are they any good?
Yeah.
He hasn't won enough. I mean, he hasn't won enough to justify that ranking to me. Though I like Mario and I think top 12 is fair. Maybe top 5. Maybe.
Number 3 is Ryan Day, and
He should be
that
higher.
would be my 2. I mean,
Yeah, he should be higher.
Only should he be higher for the high school recruiting, he does pretty doggone well in the portal, even when they aren't in the portal yet, Caleb Downs.
Yeah, and I think this is counting, by the way, for people. I don't think this is just, it says recruiting, but I think people need to take into account, I think this is counting recruiting and recruiting high schools and recruiting the portal. But Ryan Day should be 2, if not number 1. I think he's closer to 1 than 3 myself.
Right, now, let me.
How do you have Mario ahead of Ryan Day?
Let me give you the rest of them, just because we could go down. And you're asking yourself, hey, where's Kalen DeBoer here? I'm going to let you know if you can't see it. Number 3 is Ryan Day. Number 4 is Dan Lanning. Number 5 is James Franklin. Number 6 is Marcus Freeman, Notre Dame. Number 7 is Hugh Freeze. Number 8 is Dabo Sweeney. Number 9 is Fran Brown of Syracuse. Number 10 is Lane Kiffin. Number 11 is Mike Elko. And number 12 is Brent Venables. So if you're asking, where's Kalen DeBoer? He's not in your top 12. And my question is this. Number 1, you're talking about the Kalen DeBoer that took Washington to a national championship game with Michael Penix, who was very highly thought of, went very high in the draft. The 2 wide receivers whose name escaped me, who were very high in the draft.
Adunze, Polk, and McMillan.
I can't remember. It doesn't matter. Roman is something, right? Wasn't there a Roman?
Roma Dunze.
Roma Dunze. That's right.
Yeah,
okay.
But he also had Polk and McMillan that went high too.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And then all Kalen DeBoer did last year was follow in the footsteps of the greatest coach of all time, indisputably, and lead Alabama to the number 3 class in the country.
Yeah, number 3.
When he's from South Dakota. Yeah, he's from the South Dakota, and he's never really been in the South. And he comes here, and he is able to somehow manage Alabama's getting the number 3 class. And you say, well, a lot of them are already committed. Sure they were. And a lot of them decommitted. Somebody named Ryan Williams decommitted. I 100% give Ryan Williams to Kalen DeBoer's check.
You have to credit DeBoer with Ryan because he was decommitted. He wasn't committed to Alabama at the time DeBoer was hired.
Now,
it's true.
And then another question. If Hugh Freeze is such a masterful recruiter, why have they stunk for 2 years? Because
this must be giving him some credit for something that happened back in 2014 or 2015 is all I can figure. Hugh Freeze does not belong anywhere on this list. I mean, look at Auburn's recruiting last year and this year. I'll buy top 15, but number 7 ahead of Dabo, ahead of even Lane Kiffin, who I know doesn't recruit the high schools that great, but he's the portal king.
He's the portal king.
I mean, there's no way Hugh Freeze should be ahead of who he's ahead of. And that's to say nothing of DeBoer. One thing about DeBoer that I could somewhat see, the sample size is small. I mean, you can't count what he did at Fresno as a recruiter. You can only count 2 classes at Washington, now working on a 2nd class at Alabama. I get not having him super high for that reason alone. The sample size is small. But that list is absurd.
And let me ask this. Where's Brian Kelly?
What? Brian Kelly should have been top 5. His classes at Notre Dame and LSU. He should have been top 5 anyway. That's a great. Where was Sark? All he's built is they've been to back-to-back Final Fours. All on players he recruited. Now, Sark and Brian Kelly should have been top 5. They got Hugh Freeze and Fran Brown. Are they counting? I think they're counting what he did as an assistant at Georgia.
We're not associated with On 3 at all, but this is the On 3. A gnat just got in my face. This is the On 3. What do you call it? Cumulative rankings, or what do you call it?
On 3 industry
rankings. All right. By the way, where's Steve Sarkisian? Texas won the recruiting battle last year. By the way,
number 1 class. Yeah.
Georgia was 2, Bama 3, Oregon 4, Ohio State 5. Michigan was 6. Their coach isn't anywhere near there. Now, Micah Elko and Texas A&M was 7. And I'm okay with Mike Elko making the list. Let me tell you why. Because he did some good things at Duke and had some good players.
He did, but did he recruit so well at Duke he belongs on this top 12 list? I don't see that.
And if you're the coach at Texas A&M, what you do is walk into a house with a oil drum full of money and say, how much of this do you want? That's how you recruit. And it's easy. And I'm not saying
I think they walk in and say, have you seen Landman?
Yeah,
that's what I mean. I think that's how they recruit.
Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah. Have you all seen Landman? And then they push the barrel of oil and money.
Now, look, they have Auburn at 8. Okay, if you want to put Hugh Freeze in the top 12, I probably wouldn't until I see some of these highly ranked guys that are highly ranked do really well. Okay, I would like to see a little more of that. But I mean, Caleb Falk, incredible player. Cam Coleman, I believe in Cam Coleman. I think he's a really good player. But
I can see Hugh.
I guess if you want to give him Eric Singleton from Georgia Tech, if you want to give him that. Fair. Okay.
Yeah, that had a pretty good year in the portal. I think it's fair to put Hugh 15-ish, 18-ish.
I'd probably go a little higher, but I'm not far off from where you are. I'm sure not number 7.
Not number 7 when you don't even have Sark and Brian Kelly. I ain't get into the DeBoer, but you don't have Sark and Brian Kelly and maybe others that here's another guy who's not doing well as coaching all the time. Lincoln Riley probably should be on that list based on
he's got the
USC
class right now.
Yeah, I mean
Let me say this, Jimmy. Here's the other thing. Okay, they got Auburn at 8. This was last year's recruiting rankings. Auburn at 8. LSU's 9. No Brian Kelly. Florida is 10. Their coach isn't even ready to be found. Tennessee 11. Their coach isn't there. And 12 is Notre Dame. 13 is Penn State. 14 is Miami. And all their coaches are on there. And then USC is 15. And if you're going to take off for USC because the rumors of they've really broke out the checkbooks, then you got to take off points for just about everybody because everybody's using the checkbook.
Yeah. The ranking is really bad. Now, of course, it would be maybe some level of fun to do our own ranking on some other show, some other day about that. But yeah, that ranking is just, again, you can't justify not having Sark and Brian Kelly and having guys like Fran Brown, who, by the way, is I'm impressed by what Fran Brown has done in a quick period of time at Syracuse, but he does not belong within a 3-wood of that list.
And here's the thing. Guess where Syracuse and Fran Brown ended up in last year's recruiting ranking?
34.
Take a guess.
34.
Higher in a bad way.
51.
50.
No, really?
50, Jimmy. Guess where they are right now?
Man, I would have get 50.
32.
Okay, well, that's an improvement.
That's great. That is cool. And
he should be on the top 12. Maybe
a break.
It could be
who did that list, but
maybe Fran Brown, and that would be good recruiting.
Fran Brown, smart. Hugh Freeze, and they were like, "We can't put ourselves 1 and 2. That'd be crazy talk." So that is. I mean, again, I love Locked On. Please keep us employed, but I was told explicitly that we can kill this list if we want to. And I hope we have, because it deserves it. It deserves a mercy killing.
Oh,
God, that's funny. So mad. I am emotional. I'm emotional about that list. All right. So, Jimmy, roster ranking. We're to number 57.
Yeah.
And that's, boy, you told me this name and I was like, hey, Jimmy, we've talked about him a lot and we both really like him. What are you doing here? What are you doing?
Well, I'm putting Justin Hill at 57, and we're about to start a run of true freshmen here that we're going to talk about in the next few days, guys. That I'm not going to redshirt. If you're 57, you're not redshirting, and he's playing a position where I think, based on the depth, redshirting a true freshman will be almost mandatory. You've got Quay Rousseau there, you've got Jamarian Latham there, you got Yanze Pierre there. They're going to play a ton of snaps. Those 3 guys, and how many snaps do you have left at one position? Because you only play one outside linebacker in this scheme, and really he's 4th or 5th on the depth chart. But Justin Hill was so good this spring. I think he fits that definition of, sometimes you don't have room for a guy to play, but they're so good you just make room. And I think Justin Hill's going to be one of these guys. I'm not going to be surprised at all if he ends up being almost like the designated third down pass rusher. He could win a role of that importance, which is major importance. That's top 20 on the team importance. It's not going to shock me, but considering all those guys ahead of him for right now, I sort of went in the middle. I'm putting him above the kids that are redshirting, but below the guys that I know are going to play snaps at Wolf. Quay Rousseau, the starter, Jamarian Latham as a rundown situation, Yanze Pierre in pass rush situations. I think they're going to play, so I couldn't rank him too high. But we did have him just ahead of Noah Carter, who's at the Wolf spot, and he's a year younger than Noah. Justin Hill, I hope he is patient and sticks around Alabama. I think this kid has superstar written all over him. Not just that he's going to be good. I go superstar when it comes to Justin Hill. I'm a big fan. You're muted, but it's probably good because you've been emotional. I don't want you to get too emotional about Justin Hill. I don't want you to get too emotional about Justin. You could cry.
Not only that, when it comes to Justin Hill, that's a player that slouch of a recruiter, Kalen DeBoer, beat Ryan Day, who you have.
That's a great point.
Number 3 on your list. Kalen DeBoer
should have been 2. And he should have been 2.
And it just dawned on me too, just thinking, yeah, we're not killing Hugh Freeze. We're like, okay, fine. You want to put him in the top 15, top 12? Fine. Yeah. Number 7's high. But by the way, you guess who's just ahead of Hugh Freeze? Marcus Freeman, who's at Notre Dame. Auburn just signed Deuce Knight, who was committed to Notre Dame, and he flipped to Auburn. So Hugh Freeze went head to head with the guy you have just ahead of him and beat him. I don't understand this ranking. Somebody's got to explain it to me.
Well, Justin Hill is such a good player at number 57 in our rankings. Maybe he could explain it. He can do everything else extremely well. Maybe he can explain that. Just to explain,
to talk about who's the best.
Justin, I'm glad you're on the show. We want you to comment on this locked on list of the top 12 recruiters. But anyway, I'm curious as anybody to see how much Justin Hill plays this fall. Again, that Wolf and Bandit spot at Alabama, both probably the deepest positions on the whole team in terms of first team guy, second team guy, third team guy. Even you get down to the 4th and 5th guy, and they can play and help you win. He's just at one of those crowded positions. But man, this kid, he's got probably more flash or more bent. Where he's really good on tape, Luke, is he comes out of his stance flying. I mean, flying. I remember the first time I watched his tape, I couldn't believe how good he was, and it's because, man, it's almost like he's a track guy in the starter's block when he gets out of his stance and gets after the quarterback. And he had a nice buzzy spring at Alabama.
Justin Hill, if you're watching or listening, and we know you are, feel free to comment and how we can get in touch with you to be on the show to talk about best recruiters in the country. We want Justin Hill for that. That's your thing. You have a new thing, Justin Hill. I'm going to say Justin Hill a lot so that when he's doing a YouTube rabbit hole and he types in his own name, like this show comes up and he's like, what are these two morons talking about? We're talking about Justin Hill.
Locked on old people.
Locked on ticked off at terrible.
Locked on grinds my gears with Luke Robinson.
That's my own YouTube channel. It's just me. It's like in The Office when Ryan set up. Creed said, "Well, I'll put it on my blog, Creed Thoughts," and he was like, Ryan told the camera later, he goes, "Yeah, I just." Creed's not even hooked up to the internet. I just put a Word document and he just types stuff and he thinks he's blogging. It's just on a Word document.
He's not even on the internet.
Yeah, he's not even on the internet. He's like, because nobody needs to be exposed to his stuff. All right, that's going to do it for today's podcast. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.